Today, we're looking at a pink ink by Zenzoi Sweet Pink. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. There's timestamps down below where you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. Now, you can follow me on Instagram as an ink guy, and if you like fountain pen ink reviews, don't forget to subscribe. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I then put the ink into this Italics Chaplin's tankards with an oblique italic nib to write for the day and to take my notes for this video. For the first writing sample, I use Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. There are additional writing samples later in the video. Now, let's look at the writing sample. I picked this ink up in cartridge form, and to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at the Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is a tad bit lighter than the stub, but with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 14 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 20 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby for both are showing us no color variation because there isn't any. Tomoe River, with no bleeding, a very minor Tomoe River ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 20 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 37 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both are showing us no color variation, and we're not getting any. And Rhodia, with no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 15 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 22 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby of the extra fine shows us some color variation, although we got none. The medium shows none, and that's what we got. I agree with Vita that there's a lot to be learned by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see this is a pure pink dye that starts very light, pushing its way up with the water, as you would expect. The one on the right I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. And there's not a tremendous difference between the two. There's only the faintest idea of it forming a line at the bottom, as if it wants to be a little bit permanent, although I'm not truly expecting it with this. Resistance tests are done to see how well this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it might be to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, I am incredibly surprised by how well this ink did. It didn't budge, it didn't notice it at all. That makes this a very safe ink to use in a note-taking situation if you want to be able to go back and highlight. Now, I was not expecting what happened with the water. The water is only lifting the darkest tones off the paper, but it's leaving a lot of the pink behind, and that's where it's being allowed to sit for 30 seconds before I mop it up. Pen flush, the purpley bits that are in there are me being sloppy. It's transfer from a paper towel. It's not a part of this ink. Pen flush is not completely removing this ink from the paper. It's moving a little bit more than what water did, but not all of it. The 1/3 bleach solution completely obliterates it from the paper. Now here's the funny part. This was completely unexpected. I worked this ink with pen flush and kept having it in the converter, which was a very strange thing to me, that it took so much to get it out that I was in shock. I went to the 1/3 bleach solution. It completely removed it quickly from the pen at that point. I just wasn't expecting to need it. Just make sure that you do what I did, and immediately after I used the 1/3 bleach solution, I ran a lot of water through my pen to make sure I didn't rust my metal bits. I test the viscosity or flow using a tilt test, which I'm going to link the video showing how I do that. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Zenzoi Sweet Pink has a viscosity of 1.76, making this a wet ink. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples, and for the inks I've tested, I found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Zenzoi Sweet Pink has an average dry time of 21 seconds, putting it on the very high side of normal, but normal. Instead of finding inks that look like Zenzoi Sweet Pink, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I went for a nice blue-black, and I chose Noodler's Midnight Blue. The second writing sample is done on TWSBI and black and red paper. Here we're looking at TWSBI notebooks. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub. It is the first true pink that I'm seeing from this ink. This looks nice. I don't care for the other tones. The extra fine has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 14 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub, unfortunate, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 23 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both are showing us no color variation, and we're not getting it. And black and red notebooks with no bleeding and no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is lighter, and it is that pink again, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 11 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 17 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both are showing us no color variation, and we didn't get any, and that is all that I have for writing samples. So what do I think of Zenzoi's Sweet Pink? Pink is a really difficult color to get right in a fountain pen in a way that makes me happy, not like they're trying to just make me happy. I find this one to be a little peach leaning in color that makes me feel like they just kind of missed it and stayed with what they had. So what nib and pen give the best writing experience with this ink? A very dry stub or broad nib really gives your best chance at having a solid looking pink tone. I do new ink reviews every single day, so if you're new here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.